set this year by a gentleman we'll see in the second heat. 12 athletes. The first 5 across the finish line will automatically qualify to Friday's final, and the 2 next fastest times over the 2 heats. They want a 12-man final. Here are your competitors, and we're looking particularly at John Davis, the senior from Illinois, and Adam Spencer, a freshman from Wisconsin and Melbourne, Australia.
Well, Adam Spencer, just a freshman at Wisconsin, he steps in his very first year, does really big things for the Badgers. He is going to be a factor for years to come. He won the 1,500 meters at the Big Ten Championships. We saw him at the NCAA indoor meet on the DMR, and up front there right away, another young man we wanted to take our attention to. That was Anas Asai of Morocco from South Carolina. We didn't see him at the SEC Championships. He was the SEC indoor mile champ, but this guy has run some incredible times. 3:34. He's a 21-year-old freshman, so a little bit older, but people wonder, where's this guy been? And now is his chance to shine for the Gamecocks.
Just under 56 seconds for the first lap, so more than an honest pace being set by Asai. Right behind him in the white, Sam Ellis, the senior from Princeton. And right now Spencer well back in the pack, about 7th, biding his time.
Well, we looked forward to Asai facing Mario Garcia-Romo and Iliad Kipsang at the SEC Championships, and Asai had a slight injury. They told me they were going to hold him back, get him ready for the national meet, but he also has more than just the NCAA Championships. He's qualified for the World Championships. This young man competed at the Tokyo Olympics last year, just 3 months after his 20th birthday. So this kid comes in as a little bit of a mystery, but he has put down some amazing times.
Just under 1:55 for the half, so slowed it down a little bit, but still a very honest pace. John Davis of Illinois now up into 3rd with that Fighting Illini orange on his chest. He's on the outside of lane 1, trying to stay out of the way of Sam Ellis's back kick. And for Duke, that's Nick Dahl, the senior, for the Blue Devils, also up there. The field nicely spread out, but running in earnest going to happen real soon. Thomas Van Oppen of Wake Forest there in 5th, in position to be able to make the move. Remember, the top 5 finishers automatically qualifying through to Friday's final. Here is the bell, and it's still Asai as they bunch up a little bit, so he must have slowed it down a little. They're getting ready to wind it up.
We'll talk to Dan Waters from Alabama earlier today. He says he thought 3:37 was about the number that was going to be able to get Iliad Kipsang in. Here we see about 250 meters to go, and you wonder, did Asai go out a little bit hard? Did he do too much of the work himself in those first 2.5 laps?
The 62nd third lap, so they definitely slowed it down. Davis now into the lead, and that is Adam Spencer, who has now come up from the middle of the pack to challenge. Again, top 5 is what they're looking for. Asai is done. He has nothing left. Sam Ellis trying to make a move on the inside. There's 6 going for the 5 automatic spots. Nathan Green of Washington, the freshman, also there. He's going to finish 2nd behind Davis. Ellis is going to be 3rd for Princeton. 56.5 last lap for Davis. And 3:37.39 for the semifinal at the NCAA. You had to run under 3:38 to make sure you be in that top 5.
Well, John Davis ran this race absolutely to perfection. He let Asai do all the work for 3 full laps. And then as he saw Asai fading just a little bit, he stepped around him and took it home in the last 200 meters. I love to see that spread out finish. Look at that. They are clear out into lane 4. All those guys running to the tape survive and advance. And if you survive today, you get a chance to score some points on Friday.
Had to run under 3:38 to make sure you were in that top 5. That's a lot of work to be doing in a semifinal, but they do get a day off. There are your top 5s: Davis, Green, Ellis, Van Oppen, and Spencer. Brian Shoppy of Oklahoma State's got to sit back and wait and see if his 3:37.94 will advance on time. But it was really Asai that made that race. So they got to thank him for making a very, very quick race. Well, the Bowerman is the Heisman of track and field. You can see right there, Bill.
Well, we saw a little bit of weakness there. The newly minted NCAA record holder. He took that record away from Yared Nuguse earlier this season. But there you see the man who has just absolutely turned away all competitors, Mario Garcia-Romo of Ole Miss, the indoor mile champion, and a little bit known more for his 2-mile and 5K premise, but he steps down to the 1,500 meters and the mile and has absolutely been unbeatable this season. And Eliud Kipsang, kind of coming into the season, Dwight, we thought was a little bit of a wild card, but we know more what to expect from him. And I asked Dan Waters, how surprised were they when Kipsang broke that NCAA record, and he said his workouts were very indicative that the opportunity was there. He stepped in. He said you always know you can count on a 56-second last lap by Kipsang. So when he got into that race, 1,200 meters, even into range, they said it was a possibility. But the only weakness we saw was at the SEC championships, where Mario Garcia-Romo just absolutely had his way with him.
Well, you have a theory about that when Garcia-Romo is in the race with Kipsang, Kipsang cranks his head back around to see where he is all the time. He has his number a little bit as Kipsang goes through the first 457.6, so not quite as quick as Asai from the first semifinal, but not unusual at all for Kipsang. He just floats along very easily at a 56 or 57 first lap pace.
And Mario Garcia-Romo has just really tucked into the middle, and what he has proven this season is he can win a race from any position. He can lead a race, make everybody chase him, and still have a nice finishing kick. He can hang back, figure out where he's at with a lap and a half to go, create some space for himself, and then outkick everybody. So when you look at who do you want in a little bit of a slower tempo pace, is going to be Mario Garcia-Romo, because he has an outstanding 800-meter time.
Well, we know that the pace isn't nearly as fast because the group is pretty well bunched up. It's Kipsang, and now number 10, Nehemiah 2 of Iowa State in second. We saw Jacob Brookman of Colorado State up there as well, along with Joe Wascom of Washington. And this 800-meter time will be decidedly slower, 1:59.06, so he threw a 62-second lap in there to slow things down, which is why you see these 12 gentlemen all bunched up.
Well, you see somebody come up on the outside, just to the outside of Eliud Kipsang. That's George Cush from Northern Arizona. We've seen him. He actually was in that same race when Eliud Kipsang broke the NCAA record. He takes the lead.
Luke Hauser of Washington now putting himself up into the mix on the outside of lane 1 in position number 4 right now. But it is George Cush who's now pushing the pace a little bit, followed by Joe Wascom. And for Michigan State, that's John Petruno at the bell. They're 3 seconds slower than heat number 1, so you better be in the top 5 on this one if you plan to advance, because this heat is going decidedly slower than heat number 1.
There you see Mario Garcia-Romo. He created some space for himself with about a lap to go. Now he moves to the outside into that 4th position, 5th position. He's running next to George Cush with about 200 to go. 2:57.6 at the 1,200, so still moving along quite nicely. Joe Petruno still leading over Luke Hauser of Washington. There is Garcia-Romo in 3rd now, but this is a group of 8, any 5 of which can finish in the top 5 and advance automatically to Friday. On the inside, on the rail, that's Isaac Baston of Drake trying to sneak by, and they give him the room. I never understand that. It is Mario Garcia-Romo who is going to win the heat, followed by Wascom, and then Isaac Baston on the inside. Romo always seems, almost seems to always be in the right place, stays out of trouble, doesn't get bumped, doesn't get boxed. Well, Dwight, he really reminds me of Robbie Andrews. Back in the day, 15 years ago, Robbie Andrews from Virginia was always in the right place at the right time. There you see Garcia-Romo come by, but you're absolutely right. It's Isaac Baston from Drake moves in on the inside, but good running by Joe Wascom. But the question is, what happened to Eliud Kipsang there? Absolutely dead, just looked like he had no energy with a lap and a half to go.
He's a wild card, and now he wild carded himself right out of the finals. So we're waiting on these second semifinal results. In the meantime, let's go down to John Anderson.
All right, thank you, Dwight. Here with Mario Garcia-Romo, who always in the middle of the race is in the middle of the pack, and when we get to the end, you're always at the finish line. Tell us what you were planning and how you executed this race.
To be honest, this race was a little dirty. Like, I didn't know what to do because there were so many people around me. Just a lot of elbows. I just tried to stay calm until the last lap, and then in the last lap, I heard my coach saying, "Just stay on the outside," and that's what I did. And then in the last stretch, I just tried to kick as hard as I could, because I always say that in every semifinal is a final, and this is probably my last week as a Rebel, so I gotta make sure I can compete as much as I can. So.
Last week as a Rebel, and one more race to go. Anything you learned today, then, that you might carry in here 2 days from now?
That I'm in good shape. That's maybe. I already knew that, but I think what I learned today is just stay being calm in the race, pace off, and it's all about the last 100 meters, last 200 meters. Even if it's a fast pace, whoever is best in the last home straight is who wins. So.
That's the Rebs. Hotty toddy. Back to you, Dwight.
All right, John. Well, that was a decidedly slower semifinal, so only the top 5 are going to get through to Friday, and there are 6 of the advancers to final, including Mario Garcia-Romo, who won that last heat, and there are the 12 altogether. You had to run